Hello, everyone.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome to Hood Healing. We're back. Guess who's back?
Back again.
We are back. Lydia and Lidia, your two favorite Mexican ladies, are here.
Una lesbiana, una no lesbiana.
We are here to talk about romantic relationships and healing. And we are giving our families a rest from roasting their asses. Yeah. And we are here to just talk about healing and like how that's affecting our relationships. We're both married. And we are, we're both been with our partners for a long ass time. And it's not easy.
It's not.
It ain't easy.
Yeah, hell it is.
So, first of all, I just want to tell you, I watched on my lunch hour, I watched Love is Blind, the new season.
I think Susie was watching it maybe the last season, or when it first came out. How many seasons did that?
Well, we're in 4 now.
Oh, I think she watched 1. It's a long time ago.
And girl, there's a lot of healing that needs to happen for some of these folks.
What is it about? No
tea, no shade, no lemonade. Well, they go into these pods and they basically they get to know people, but they don't know what they look like. So it's like based on like personality, interests, and then they decide if they're going to get married. So then they kind of like,
wait, they don't see them. They're just going to marry them without seeing what they look like.
Yeah. It's almost like Married at First Sight, but they get to know each other. And then they so they get together.
Yeah.
Afterwards they decide if they're going to like get married or they propose. They live together in the real world. And then they decide if they're going to get married at the end of it. It's like an experiment, basically.
Do you think a lot of the times they say never mind because of the way people look?
Okay, well, in the Brazilian,
because people say looks don't matter, but they're full of shit. Looks matter a little bit.
They do.
Don't lie.
We're going to be honest, so in the Brazilian one, there was a guy and he was like, your stereotypical like guy, like, and the girl comes out and she's curvy and he was just like, it was like so shady. Like he was like, she's really not the type. She's too strong for me.
Motherfucker.
And I was like, bitch, you bet your ass she's too strong for you.
What about him? What did he look like?
I mean, he was really good looking. And so it was kind of like, fuck.
So was she good looking a little bit or no?
She was pretty.
Don't
but
lie.
She was cute. She was really cute, but she was, a curvy girl.
I'll be the judge of that. Let me see her picture.
Oh, I don't even know who it was. I just saw it on TikTok, so I couldn't track back. Oh, I'll do some research for you, but
okay. I'll let you guys know what I think on the next podcast.
She was really really falling for him too. And he was supposedly, and then he saw her and was like, ugh. It was really obvious when he saw her. And so anyways, but there's one girl, her name is Amber. She's really cute. She's nice.
Okay.
Girl, she's been married 2 times already and she's probably not even 30 years old.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being married 2 times.
There's not. Sorry. That was super judgy. But I'm like, why are you coming on this show?
Yeah.
To get married again? It's like, take some time, heal yourself so you know what healthy behaviors are and what a healthy partner looks like.
And what happened with them?
Oh, it's just started. I'm barely on the first episode.
Oh, shit.
But some of these people, they're like already telling their childhood trauma. I'm like, they need to have a therapist on staff.
Listen to Hood Healing, please.
Please listen to our podcast because we really want to help you get the best partner that
please
you can.
Go buy this book.
Yeah, drama-free boundaries, all the shit. So, well, first of all, I know that there's a lot of folks that know us and know that we're both married, but maybe we should talk a little bit about like, our partners, like how we met, how long we've been together, just like the basics.
Okay, you go first.
You go first.
All right. I met Susie in high school. She was a bully to me, though. She really was. She was a jerk. She was a jerk. But I didn't have anything, like, I didn't have no feelings or anything like that for her. Although a lot of her friends said that she did, because I would go to Mexico and I would bring back gifts, and she always had the best gift. But it was it had nothing to do with that.
She's all, girl, I bought you some antibiotics at the pharmacy in TJ.
I put them in the little thing that breaks, and those little what are they? Piggy banks. So I met her in high school, and then we didn't get close till I think after I met Maribel. So it was Maribel, Weta, Liz, Susie, Chewy, and I don't know who else. I think that was just it, us, our little group. And then after high school, we started working at Disneyland, and that's where the magic happened. Yeah, after work, yeah.
Sleeping Beauty's castle.
Yeah.
So,
but we've been like right after. So we started hooking up. We were on and off. We were pretty bad. We weren't perfect, you know. So we were pretty bad for a while, and then we broke up, got back together. It was back and forth, and then finally we've been good for about 11 years.
Yeah,
which is the love of my life for sure.
Yeah,
you know.
And you got married.
Yes, we got married, and we have 2 doggies, Mr. Sullivan and Sophia, and we're in the process of trying to have a baby.
And they eloped. They're like texting us, we're getting married today.
Eloping is the best way to go. Honest to God, it's the best way to go, but you're going to piss off a lot of people for sure.
Yeah. So that's something we have in common anyhow. But so Frank and I have been married for it'll be 22 years in August.
Dang.
And we dated for about 8 months, and then we eloped.
You said, fuck everybody, we're done.
Kind of. We have kind of it's not scandalous, but I guess kind of scandalous story. We met because his ex-girlfriend's sister worked with me, invited me to a party at her house with the intention of setting him up with our other coworker, not me. But after the party, and I was just like, and he also made out with someone in the bathroom at this party. That was not his ex-girlfriend, and that was not me. It was someone else's sister.
Damn, Frank.
And he tried to freak me at the party. I was like, I'm good. Thank you so much, though. Have a good life.
You said swerve.
I said swerve. And so the next Monday at work, my coworker was like, hey, Frank thought you were really cute. And I was like, he's really not my type, because he was a cholo. He was a little cholito, and I was just not dating that type of dude. And then I went to get my hair done, and like a few weeks later, and my coworker was like, hey, come over afterwards. You're going to be right down the street from my house. Like, we'll have dinner at my house and just hang out. And I was like, okay, that sounds good.
And then boom, Frank was in.
I walked in the house, and there's Frank chilling on the couch. I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? Like, this is a setup. And we just all were hanging out and chilling until 2:00 in the morning. And mind you, it was a work evening. It was like a Thursday.
And you fell in love.
Not quite, all right. But so no, but he gave me his number, and he's like, yeah, I would love to go out, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, whatever. He called me that next week. And unfortunately, one of my cousins had passed away. So I was not even home for the whole weekend. So I didn't call him back till like a few days later. And it was like a Sunday, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Do you want to hang out? I'm like, yeah, well, I just got back, from out of town. If you want to come over, you can come over. I said, but if you're not here by 9:00, you're not getting into my apartment. I lived like in a gated,
Yeah.
building. I'm like, cause Sex in the City is on and you're going to have to wait a half an hour if you come late.
And y'all had your own little party.
He comes at 9:00.
Yeah.
I was in sweatpants.
All right.
He came with like full on, like, like a button up shirt and everything. And I'm like, okay. He showed up with a bottle of wine.
Yeah, Frankie.
Some
he knew what he was doing.
Some Ben and Jerry's ice cream and cat treats because he knew I had a cat.
What the?
He brought cat treats.
All right.
I was like, okay. And my roommate, who was actually in Europe at the time, she was like on a vacation with her family.
So it was just you and Frank.
Yeah. So, we just kissed, y'all. We just kissed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hoe it down right away.
Mm-hmm.
But then we just started like hanging out here and there. And I think, we came from very different backgrounds, like he came from a traditional family, like where it was like a lot of his interactions, like his friendships, and what he did were with his cousins.
That's the same with me.
Yeah. And like for me, I came from where my dad was in the military. My dad was in the army. We lived away from our family. I didn't grow up with my cousins. It was just me and my sisters and my parents. So we really had to figure out like, we had to really make friends,
Yeah.
So that's always been something that my sisters and I, like, that's been easy for us. And so the other thing is we've also had so many different kinds of experiences, like traveling, like, just trying new foods and things like that. And so I feel like that was something in the beginning of our relationship that was so like fun to do was, hey, the fact that I took him on a plane to go to Seattle. He's like,
never been on a plane before that?
That was his second time. He had went on a plane to go to a conference that was in northern, like San Francisco area. But he had never been to Seattle. And that was like culture shock. He's like, it's so clean here. It's obviously not like that anymore. But, like just taking him out of state, he had never been to Las Vegas.
What?
And that man was almost 30. I was like, what the hell have you been doing it with your life, bro? Like seriously.
Chilling with his cousins, girl.
Well, he was locked down.
Yeah.
So we, now I think that's like a big part of, just like our relationship is like pushing him to try new things and do new things that are out of his comfort zone, because I'm the kind of person that's like, how can we take this to the next level?
Yeah.
Like, how can we get better? How can we do better? It's not even about material stuff. It's just
a go-getter. You're a go-getter.
I'm a fucking hustler.
That's Susie right there too.
Okay. I ain't waiting for shit. I'm like, which is actually a trauma response.
I think Frank and me we have a lot in common. We're more like lay back, we're chill. Even when it comes to arguments, like, I'll talk to him about what I'm going through. He'll talk to me about what he's going through. And I think we're both the same, and you and Susie are the grumpy ones.
We are not grumpy. We don't take no shit from no one.
I think that's what it is, I guess. But that's cool. So you got I'm assuming you're the one that got him to try like sushi and like all that other stuff.
Which was a mistake.
Because he wants sushi all the time.
That man's like, let's go get sushi. I'm like, bro, you order like $50 worth of sushi just for yourself. Okay. We cannot. I'm like, dude, we can't. Yeah. Or I also introduced him to filet mignon.
Oh, I know. You got that yesterday.
That's why that motherfucker was at Taco Los Cholos ordering a filet mignon taco.
If you guys have not had the Taco Los Cholos, it's a must, guys. The Papa Loca, you have to get it adobada. Oh my God. With Chipotle sauce.
Well, we had that for dinner last night and it was so delicious.
Yeah.
But,
sponsor us, Taco Los Cholos.
I know, I wish, because their food is still so good.
Imagine next time we come on here, we'd be like,
and that's all right.
It is.
But, yeah, I mean, I think when you have a good partner, they try to elevate you. Like, let's want more for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that healing is part of the elevation.
Yeah. That's what Susie did with me. Like, I was not picky because Lita would cook all types of food. My mom would cook all types of food, but there was certain things that I could not eat, like barbecue sauce, like teriyaki. All I would get when we would go get Chinese food was chow mein, and I think it was chicken with sauce, and that was it. And Susie would get sesame chicken and barbecue chicken, and I would be like, "That's freaking gross! Like, you're gross." So she's like, "Have you ever had it before?" Nope. Tried it. That's what I get now. Onions. I never ate onions. Susie got me into onions. Funny story. We're having dinner at my grandma's house. And Lita's making, I think we're going to eat tacos. So Lita's making the tacos, like the Sarianas tacos. So she's making them, and then Susie's helping in the kitchen. I'm in the living room, and then my mom's there too. And Lita goes, Chubby's wants 4. So obviously Lita knows how many tacos I want. All right. So Susie's serving them. And then my mom's putting them on the plate, and then she's serving whatever it is that you put in your tacos. And Susie's telling my mom, like, "Oh, onions too." And my mom's like, "She doesn't like onions." And Susie's like, "Yeah, she does." And she's like, I know my daughter, and she doesn't like onions." Susie's like, "Lydia." And I turn around and I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Onions or no onions?" I said, "Onions, please." The look on Susie's face was like, "Yeah, onions. And my mom's like, "Since when the fuck do you like onions?"
Well, by the looks of it, you freaking took half of the onions at the salsa bar at Tacos Los Cholos now. So we know
Susie loves onions. So
now you're over that, right?
Yeah, Susie loves onions. Yeah, so.
I mean, and that's the thing, like when we have partners that are like, "Okay, let's try this, like just try it," or encouraging you to like, do more. Yeah. It just opens up your world, especially because we all have, like we all come into relationship with our own different experiences.
Yeah.
And I think that, one thing that we did recently was do the love language test.
Oh, we did that too, I think.
And we did. It's like everyone makes fun of it and stuff. But honestly, I was like, okay, this actually makes sense to me. I am an acts of service. Like the fact that, he does certain things for me that like, if he were to be like, "Oh, I'll go take, our kid to school and let me sleep in," like, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, and he'll text me like, "Oh, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you, blah, blah, blah. Have a wonderful day." And I'm just like, I'm literally like, okay, with a little heart,
That's not nice.
But I have been trying to be more like, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all the work you're doing to get yourself into a healthy and joyous place.
Yeah.
Because I think that like, that's important. Like for him, it's love language and physical
Me too.
affection. So I'm like, damn it. I have to give it up more.
Susie too.
But I think that just meeting in the middle when it comes to stuff like that is so important.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like the healing part is just like, it can really change your relationship.
Yeah. The support that you guys give, you know what I mean? I know Susie's been very supportive with all this, this whole podcast and, reading the book with me. Like we lay there and we read the book together. She questions me about certain parts of the book, make sure you're taking notes. Make sure that you're, telling these people how you really feel, like what your thoughts are, don't hold back, you're not doing anything wrong, and I think on one of the podcasts that we had recorded, the one that you cried on, one of the first ones. Yeah. After we were done recording, on the way back home, she was like, you weren't yourself. Like, what is the point of you going on here and talking if you're not going to be honest with yourself and with these people that are watching you guys, you know? So I remember I had texted you that night and I said, I was holding back. I was too scared of what others would think or feel. And, you know, to be honest, it's not about them. It's about me. You know what I mean? And after that, like, I'm a lot better with this. You know what I mean? I don't throw names out there, but I sure as hell let you know how you made me feel. You know what I mean? And how I'm doing better. So
yeah. And I think, you know, part of what we do when we heal in relationship with our significant other, our partner, like if we're both doing this work, if we're both doing it in the relationship you create with each other, but also individually, like you're changing the narrative for your family.
Yeah.
And, you know, growing up, I really saw this dynamic between my parents where, you know, I think my mom was definitely in a domestic violence relationship.
Yeah.
I did domestic violence training for work like about 2 years ago. And I was like sitting there trying not to cry because I was like, holy shit. And my dad never physically hurt her, but emotionally, like he was always just going off. Like it was like everyone was so scared of him. And he still can go there sometimes, like just get mad about random shit. And I'm just like, you cannot do this here in my house because we don't act like this anymore.
Yeah.
Which I think he gets embarrassed about. And you know, my sister whose house he goes to, she'll just start yelling at him. But I'm like, you know, I don't want to have like my partner and my child feel the same thing. And I felt like that was stuff that I would do. Like I would get pissed off and just start going off. Like I'd be like, what the fuck, you know? And every so often, yes, it still happens. But I think therapy has really helped me process that. Like that's not a healthy behavior. When you're in conflict with someone, you can't just start yelling at them because it can trigger, you know? So I just was like, I want to have a true partnership where, you know, we're both sharing the responsibilities of raising a child. We're both sharing the responsibilities of the home.
Yeah.
However people want to do that, that's up to them. But when you have someone who's doing everything,
it's a lot on that person. You know?
It's not fair either.
It's not fair. For sure.
It's, you know, it's like
you're a team. You got to work as a team. You know, the other day we were cooking together. We were cooking our lunch for work. We were meal prepping for 2 days, right? She was washing the dishes. I was cooking, and then she got on the other side and she started making veggies with cauliflower rice. And so we were together, like cooking together, talking, and then, you know, put the food in the little containers. And then obviously when we were at work, I texted her, I'm like, bro, this not bro. I didn't say bro. Sorry. I didn't say bro. I texted her and I told her lunch is bomb because I'd taken lunch before her. And she said the same thing. It was amazing, you know? And like, we were both working together. She was washing dishes. I was cooking, you know, like we put the dishes away together, you know. I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've always been like the one helping her out, you know, with things because I wasn't like that. Why? Because I always had Lita do everything for me. You know what I'm saying? Like Lita would, you know, wash my clothes. Yes, she would wash my clothes, but I mean, towards the end, like I started doing my own stuff, but you know, like, I helped Susie separate the clothes. Like we separate the clothes together. Either she washes, one folds, one does the kitchen, one does the living room. You know what I mean? You're a team. You know what I mean? And it's sad because I see people, doing everything for their significant other. And, you know, you're not an octopus. You don't have you don't have a shitload of arms. You know what I'm saying? Like you should put your foot down and say, hey, we're a team. We should be doing this together. You know what I mean? And once again, I ain't throwing shade at no one. If the shoe fits, wear it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you're a team, work together. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And there be some dusty, musty man who think, well, I'll bring a check home. I don't got to do shit else. I don't got to help you take care. It is 2023. And if your man's is still that way, you need to kick him to the damn curb.
Yep.
I think the other thing is like, especially in our culture, you know, there's this idea that like women have to fucking do it all. And it's like, motherfucker, wash your own chonies. Like, I ain't about that life. And a lot of, I think then there's this narrative of, well, if you don't do everything for your man and your children, you don't love them.
Yeah.
But what we end up doing is we create this dynamic where that's why there's so many fucking ladies in therapy on antidepressants who are in these toxic marriage. Like, I'm not shitting on traditional like marriage and, you know, gender roles. Cause for some folks, like, that's fine. That's what you want to do. And God bless the stay at home moms, because I could not do that shit, you know, cause it's a lot of work. But if your partner is not respecting how much work you're putting into doing that, like there's still a lot of men who are like, oh, well, I have the money, I make the money, I control the money. Meanwhile, their wives are over here busting their ass, taking kids to school, making all the food for the whole day for everybody.
And they're still washing the dishes and still cleaning the stove. Like,
they're cleaning the whole damn house, keeping your house looking nice, ironing your damn shirts. And, you know, they're still being disrespectful. And it's like, that's not okay. You know, I think that's like another aspect of marriage. Like, if you haven't grown up where you've seen people respect each other, it's like, how then do you learn that?
I think I learned putting Susie on a, you know, like up here because of Lethal. You know what I'm saying? My pops did too. You know, my dad has always, you know, given my mom everything she's wanted, she needed. But my Lito and my Lita are who I started becoming an adult with. You know what I'm saying? And Lita was his world. Like, Lita would get up and her coffee was ready and her cookies were ready. When she was working, her juice was ready. When she got up, her lunch was packed. All Lita had to do was yell at us to get in the damn car so she can take us to school, and we were off. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was when Lita retired, because when he was working, of course, Lita would get up and make his lunch and stuff like that. But even the dishes, like, you would see Lito, this big man, big macho man, doing dishes. He would help her do dishes. Well, she would cook, and then after we would have our dinner, and then he would pick up the plates, and you would see him washing dishes.
Well, I think your Lito is definitely like a rare breed for his generation, because I mean, I also, like, my grandfather was that way too. Like, he worked in construction, and my mom used to say, like, when he didn't, you know, like when it rained, obviously he wasn't working. My grandma would go to work. She worked at Sears. She would go there, and then he would make breakfast for the kids. He would make food. Like, that was his love language. I just remember, I miss him. He's like, you know, this was his alcoholic years, but I just remember he would kind of, this is not a healthy behavior, but it is a nice memory. He would get drunk and like lay like sit against the couch and just let us like crawl all over him, jump on him. He would hug us and kiss us. Like, he was, you know, it was so nice because he was just a loving man. Yeah. But also, you know, I think men from, you know, I've seen some other men from that generation who, you know, will sit at the table and wait for their food, and, you know, which is like, if that's your dynamic in your relationship, then that's fine. That's your thing. But I think the part that's hard is when that is not reciprocated in another way. Like, you know, there's some people that I know that, you know, their fathers haven't ever, like, I've never seen them give their mothers a present for Mother's Day. Like, I've never seen that. And it's like, you know, if you're not honoring your partner and the work that they do, and that's both ways, right? Then there's no respect there.
Yeah. That's something else that I picked up off Lito was making sure to cater to Susie on Valentine's Day, even though she just hates Valentine's Day. Cater to her on her birthday, like just bring her flowers on you know, like just on a Tuesday, you know what I'm saying? Or that was Lito all the time. He would go to Thrifty, now Rite Aid, and he would stand in the aisle where the cards are at, the greeting cards, and he would sit there and he would read a nice card. And then if you were with him, he would ask you to read it, ask you what you thought, and then that's what he would take. You know what I mean? But also you want to lead by example, especially if you have kids, you know what I'm saying? Because your kids see everything you do. You yell at your significant other, your kid's going to freaking yell at your significant other. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want especially if you have a son, you want your son to be the perfect man to his future wife. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. There's so many messages that men get about what being a man is. And many of the messages are so toxic, like this idea of like dominating your partner, dominating women, being in charge. And it's like true partnership. Like I stand those men that can sit in their femininity and masculinity at the same time and be like, I'm going to be vulnerable with my partner. And it took a long time. It took therapy, it took healing for even Frank to be in that place.
Yeah.
And that's like part of the healing. And also part of the healing for us was just being able to identify that, you know, things we were doing, we were repeating from our families. So we had to be mindful of that so that our child could see, like, you know, this is what healthy love looks like.
Yeah.
I think that when you have people that lack emotional maturity, they tend to be so focused on their own needs that they aren't able to like push past that and go, you know what does my partner need? The holistic psychologist, who is like one of our favorites, was talking about like what mature love looks like. And I was like, oh yeah, these are like definitely things we're working on. Like we're continually working, and it's like asking for what you want directly, like having that direct communication, you know, and saying like, you know, I don't like when you do this. It's more helpful if you do like X, Y, Z. Cause I think so many people, trust me, I've literally been guilty of this, expect you to read their minds.
Yeah.
Like, motherfucker, I am not psychic Chloe over here, Cleo, whatever her name was. Like, I don't know what you want. It's accepting that your partner can't meet every need. And I think that is important too, because I know so many people that are like, well, my partner, it's like, we can't be everything to everyone. But it's, you know, we have to just continually communicate, encourage a partner to do things that make them feel fulfilled, learning how to have difficult conversations, taking responsibility for how you react when you're upset, which is
I do that.
trauma. I mean, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to, like, there's some things that when I'm upset, I'm like, I'm about to go ham.
Yeah.
But then I know, like, I just need to be by myself so that I can process this and like really sort of communicate this to you in a healthier way. But when we get upset, our neurological systems like start firing like crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm about to pick up this table and throw it across the room.
Move, bitch.
Giving and taking space is needed, creating stability through doing what you'll say you'll do. That's important.
Yeah.
You know, and when you think about like, so like all of this takes emotional maturity, which we're all trying to do because unfortunately the 70s and 80s did not teach our parents about fulfilling like emotional needs of children like we do now, right? We're like, how do you feel about that? You know, and the ironic thing is I found this old picture of myself. I think I was like 4 or 5, and I have a t-shirt that says kids have feelings too.
What the heck?
I was like, Mom, obviously you didn't read this t-shirt.
Shit.
But emotionally immature people aren't able to self-reflect. They deflect or blame others as a coping mechanism. So for example, if you have a partner and you all have had some serious trauma, and you're having difficulties in your relationship and you say you want to go to therapy as a way to do that. If you have a partner who tells you, you need therapy, I don't need therapy, that's the fucking biggest red flag.
Yeah.
Like, girl, Molly, you in danger, girl. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it.
I know. And it's like, you don't want to leverage that and force your partner to go to therapy. But for some people, especially if they're in relationships where there's abuse occurring, emotional abuse or physical abuse, like, and that person wants to stay with you, like, they really do need to go to therapy.
You know, I was talking to someone a while ago, and I was like, you know, if you're in an abusive relationship, like, you need to speak up. Oh, they don't hit me. It doesn't, you don't have to get hit. You know what I'm saying?
Girl, you don't got to get socked in the face to, I mean, and even, you know, men and, you know, non-binary folks can be victims of domestic violence or emotional abuse, where if your partner is saying things like, oh, you're a piece of shit, or, you know, you make me mad, or, you know, well, that's not really,
it's like, you fucking hoe. Hey.
Yeah. I mean, chill. When people are like trying to break you down, because they don't feel good about themselves, like, that's abusive. Or if they're trying to intimidate you, like, you know, or doing things like really, really like mean stuff, that fucking wears you down. Or okay, because a lot of people talk about gaslighting. I don't know how many times I've heard about it, but gaslighting isn't just like, oh, you're lying about, or I'm, you know, that's not true. It's actually trying to recreate, like, denying your whole reality. So for example, like, let's say that somebody found, you know, text messages from their partner's coworker that was like flirty, and you're like, what's going on here? This is inappropriate. And they're like, you're just crazy. You're making this up. This is nothing.
Turn
like,
the tables around. See if you like that.
That's gaslighting. Or like somebody who, you know, so it's used a lot by people who are abusers, unfortunately, but also, you know, it could be a behavior that you've experienced from your parents, saying like, you know, especially when you talk about some of the things that have happened, that they might say things like, well, you know, your childhood was fine. Nothing happened. No pasa nada.
Yeah.
Like, bitch, something pasó. Okay. So, definitely, I think for the people that are in those situations, you know, it's like, find someone that you trust that can help you get support and get connected. Because that's not healthy. I think people think that it's like, you know, these situations you see in movies, you know, like J-Lo's movie Enough, like they think
that was fucking good movie,
that you have to be in like that extreme of a situation. And it's like, no, man, emotional abuse can really fucking eat at you and make you feel like shit.
Words hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to slap someone. I mean, like, whatever. You can call someone a bitch and they can be having a bad day, and then that's it. You ruin their whole freaking, like, night, day, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard it and I've seen it, you know, like, people, they don't physically abuse these people, you know what I'm saying? But they verbally do, you know, like, the words that they say, like, if they hurt me and they're not even saying them to me, I can only imagine what they're feeling. You know what I'm saying? It sucks. It sucks to see it happen, you know, and you can't even step in and say, hey, like, chill, you know what I'm saying? Because it's none of your business. You know
well, I mean, in some regards, like, I think if people that like, it is hard because you don't want to be up in people's business, but if you see stuff that's harmful,
well, yeah, that
I mean, even words, it's like, you can even, I mean, shit, I got no problem if like, what the fuck, that's so fucking rude. Like, I mean, calling people out like it's not okay, because I think sometimes like I hear people that are parents will say to their kids, like, you little fucking idiot. I'm like, what the hell? Who talks to their damn kids like that?
Yeah.
And they'll, especially, I'm sorry, our people do it all the time. They're like, oh, tú eres pendejo.
Pinche pendeja, and you're like,
yeah, llorón, like, cabrona, like people who say that kind of stuff to their kids. It's like, please heal your trauma, because that shit is not okay. And I know as a culture, we think that stuff is funny. That's why half of our asses are in fucking therapy.
That's why half of you pendejos are in therapy.
But I mean, it's true, because like shit, the way that you talk to your kids and your partner, like, you're creating this really unhealthy dynamic of disrespect.
Yeah.
And like even when Frank and I argue, we never call each other names. Like, that's one of the rules that we had. One time he got really mad. He said, you're acting like a bitch. And I said, you called me a bitch? I'll show you.
No, like us too, I said, we haven't always had the relationship that we have now. We're so much better though. Like, I can honestly say we're so much better. Like, I love this woman so much, but like when we had first got back together, if we were arguing, it was bad. Like, we would like cuss each other out, like F you, F this, like you effing that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, now I sit back and I think about it and I'm like, what the hell are we thinking talking to each other like that? Like, where was the respect? But it's like we had just gotten back together, you know what I'm saying? So it was probably anger on both sides from the past, you know what I'm saying? From what we saw and shit.
From you hoeing around.
No, that's not true.
Out in those streets. Just kidding.
But,
why's your face so red?
But you know what I'm saying? Like, before, like when we first got back together, like when we would cuss each other out, like it was pretty bad, and like, until we both sat down and we're like, that's enough, like no more, you know what I mean? Like, I remember she told me one time that I was so pissed. Like, I remember I was cussing her out. Like, I was freaking mad. And then when we were better, when we talked it out, I remember she told me, how would you feel if you heard your Lito talking to your Lito like that? Oh man, that was it. That was it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
After that, like, I was like, I'm sorry. I did not mean to talk to her like that. You know what I'm saying? And that was it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope we'll get into an argument. I'll walk away and I'm like, but I mean, I won't say it to her face. You know what I'm saying? Or like,
just behind her back.
Just like, kidding. Or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I won't call her, like, talk shit to her anymore like I used to. You know what I'm saying? And she won't do it either.
Well, I think the thing that is, important is that when you are like disrespecting each other in different ways, and like people do this differently. The other thing that I started to realize is the couples or the people that you want to be like, you want your relationship to be like, are the people you should really surround yourself with. Yeah. Because when you get around toxic couples, yeah, it starts to permeate into how you are. Like, that energy is so toxic. And, one of the things is like, if you have people that are constantly like, they're not communicating their needs to their partner, or their partner's communicating it and they're not receiving it and making adjustments. And then the partner comes back and is like, okay, I'm going to do something disrespectful to you.
Yeah.
That's like, it's like, why are you in relationship with each other? Because it just seems like if you don't heal, that's what ends up happening. It's like people start to one up and they like level up.
No, that's how it was with us. Like, I would disrespect her and then she would up one on me.
Yeah. What do I got in my bag?
But I mean, that's why you guys grow together, you learn from each other. And that's one of the things that Susie always says. Like, I love hanging out with Frank and Lydia. Like, I love hanging out with them because we learn so much from being around them. You know what I mean? Like, Frank's already hitting 55 years old. You know what I'm saying?
60.
Yeah, 60. Sorry about that. But and like I said, you guys have pretty much been through everything that we're going through now. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole, family issues that you guys have, you know what I mean? Like, coming around and feeling like you're not wanted, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's why I love when she talks to you about certain things, like, because you help her and you remind her that everything's going to be okay. And same thing goes with Frank, with me, you know what I'm saying? Like he'll tell me like, everything's going to be okay. And I think right now with the whole issue that we're struggling with our families, me and him, like I said it on the last podcast, like we're there for each other. And I think we've helped each other become stronger. You know what I mean? Because in the beginning, I went through this by myself, like, cause you guys were still in San Jose. Like I've been going through this bullshit forever. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm 39 years old and like, growing up I always felt like the black sheep, you know what I'm saying? And it's been proven lately, you know what I'm saying? And that's okay because those people that made me feel some type of way have only made me stronger. So thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Well, I think the hard thing is like when there is, people are still like struggling with their own emotional stuff. Yeah. It's like, then how do they have the skills to, have a healthy relationship? And, we are not perfect by any means. Yeah. We still get on each other's nerves, but, our conversations are different. We apologize to each other. And, sometimes it's like, we kind of have to just, respect how each other is feeling. I think one thing in our relationship that we've had to work on recently is just, I think it's hard for him to not feel like, like I kind of had said, I've tried really hard to have a relationship with your family. And just no one has made the effort or have been disrespectful, to me. And I think that was always a huge conflict in our marriage because he felt scared to stand up, for them and for me. And when I kind of was like, I'm literally going to peace out on this. Yeah. Like, and that was just for my own happiness, my own healing. And I think he was upset with that in the beginning and would take it out on me because he didn't have the relationship he wanted with them. I know that he kind of probably blamed me for that because I wasn't like going to go along with the plan anymore. And, I kind of just said, you can have whatever relationship you want. I'm just not going to be part of the equation anymore. Yeah. And so I think we had to work through that, I literally had to call that out and say like, I feel like you really resent me for not just ignoring all this stuff and just going along with like how you guys function. Cause it's not okay. Especially like you want to fuck with my kid, you're going to get the claws. Like, I can imagine. I'm like, I would have been behind bars by now. Like, so just know that, there's a lot of restraint that has been happening on my end. And I think he had to like work through that a bit. Yeah. And so we had some tension, but we were able to talk through it and really, help him. I think going to therapy really helped him identify like, this is why you're feeling this way. And it's not because of your partner. It's because of the actions of other people. Yeah. But we literally, our first year of marriage did almost get divorced because of all the shit that was happening with this family. And there's been like sometimes in the past, like when things have gotten bad recently where I was literally like, I feel like this is the only way you'll ever have a good relationship with your family is if I'm not in the picture anymore.
That sucks.
But then we were like, fuck that, because we love each other. We just kind of had to take the step like, listen, we got to work on this. We got to figure this out. This is our little family. We got to surround ourselves with people that we love and we care about and that do the same for us. Yeah. We have to just let go of this idea that society tells us like that our family has to look a certain way, because there's so many folks out there who are like I can't be around my family because they're not willing to do healthy stuff.
And you know, like you said, like you